Hi guys, and welcome to the Citadel with me, Daniel M. Today we have got the final round of Swiss at our local store tournament. On the left-hand side, we have got Daisy again playing his Lannister dragon that we've seen in the previous matchups, and on the right we have got Joe Zimmer, who was from Brighton, came up to visit a few people and then go on to the Stoke Regional the next day, and he's playing Stark Fealty with his absolutely lovely Keep Calm and Hodor sleeves. So this, I would say, is quite a bad matchup for Lanny Dragon. As we've seen recently at regionals, just because you've got Catelyn and you've got Winterfell, who are going to absolutely ruin your triggers for Miri. It's a way of neutering all the kill that you often find in Lanny Dragon, because there is no ability to activate it. The only kind of barrier becomes, and the tipping point often in these matchups, is whether the Lannister dragon can put enough pressure on multiple different challenges to overwhelm Winterfell and Catelyn, core Catelyn. Or Joe might be running new cat, power cat. I think there's, at the minute in the current meta, there's an argument for both. I think core set Catelyn is probably stronger in the Dragon Banner matchup, just because she can shut down Miri so effectively by stopping her trigger. However, in a meta that is also so kind of dominated by Stark, you are then at serious risk of getting her warded, which then immediately then pushes you maybe towards the power rush cap. But anyway, setups, a really nice setup on both sides of the board. The Lannister player getting almost the perfect setup, getting Tywin, a Chud, and a Rose Road. Cannot see a better setup for that deck. Against a Rob, Chud, and a King's Road. So Joe has got his stand tech, he's got a reducer, and he's got some economy to get himself in another big character in his early turn. However, I think with that Tywin in gold, getting +3 gold on whatever plot he drops is going to really enable Daisy to push hard in these early rounds. And if Joe can't kind of stem that tide of really impactful characters, which Daisy can finance now, he could be in trouble. So yeah, going back to the core cat versus new cat, I think if you're running Stark at the minute, I think you have to be running 3 Winterfell. Yes, Lannister does have the best counter to it, being treachery. However, Winterfell is you can use every single turn. They've only got maybe 2 treachery in the deck. I think you're silly if you're only running 2 treachery at the minute. I think with Winterfell being as prevalent as it is, I think you need 3, because it's useful if for no other reason than cancelling those Winterfell triggers. I also think it helps you in the mirror match, because if you have 3 of them, it allows you to cancel the mirror trigger, or even if you're playing it's Martell, it lets you cancel Tyene. Oh, really dangerous setup there from Joe. However, he is playing his attachment wrong. He's putting it at the top and not showing it at the bottom. There's a reason those names are at the bottom there, guys. Put those attachments so that we can see them underneath, see the lovely text box. It does hide the beautiful art, but it makes it much easier to see what they are. But really dangerous. Got Arya there with ice. I really like the fact he's put ice on Arya and not on Rob, because that boosts her strength up to a point where she's also quite dangerous, but also she's got the stealth. So you can just do, if Daisy doesn't marshal enough military icons, just do the military challenge with Arya. And also getting down some economy to facilitate his plays next turn. So I think that's a good turn for him. Set himself up for next turn. Got a character on the board, made her very impactful by putting ice there. And Daisy getting a King's Road as well, as if he needed even more gold. So on top of the 8 gold, the 2 reduction, he's also got a King's Road he's going to use. And he gets the mountain out. This could be really dangerous for Joe if he is running the Stark deck, which runs lots of 6 costers. So if the mountain hits those 6 costers, it could be a dangerous situation for him. Putting a seal of the hand on Tywin so that he can stand him. I think that's a really good play because what that facilitates is it facilitates him. I'm assuming if he does a military challenge with Arya, he's going to stealth the mountain, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want that pillage going off on defense or defense. So what Daisy's then going to be able to do is defend with Tywin, stand him up, and then use him on offense as well. So that's a nice situation to be in. It's kind of the perfect counter. Oh, that's painful. So, Joe does the military challenge with Rob and Arya, stealthing the mountain. That's going to be opposed. Thank God for the Tywin dupe, because he opposed it with Tywin, but winter is coming. Absolutely nearly cleared his board. So Daisy now in a very precarious situation. Completely understand why Joe went there. Went first in that turn. That's a lot of pressure to put on the Lannister player in his first turn, and has meant that despite only marshalling Arya with the ice, what he's been able to do is absolutely clear Daisy's board, get rid of the dupe of Tywin, get rid of the mountain, and if he's got a march to the wall in his deck, he needs to be playing it next turn, because if he can now march Tywin, all he's going to lose is going to be that Winterfell steward. If I was Daisy, I'd be tempted to do a military challenge. It's not going to negatively impact Joe's board significantly. What it is going to do is it's going to remove that Winterfell steward. And that means that he would have to get rid of Hodor for the March to the Wall. Still not a bad trade for Joe, but it puts him with 2 characters instead of 3. So, as mentioned in previous videos, Daisy is a lucky son of a bitch. So if anyone is going to find their way out of this, it is going to be Daisy. Ooh, getting his Tywin march. So that's 2 Tywins in the bin. No cards on the board, and Daisy is in a dangerous situation. So that is a really good first turn for Joe, the Stark player. Wiped the board. Daisy's now in a really dangerous situation with only 5 gold to count, about what he can get onto the board and how he can bring himself back into this game. I think unless Daisy does something quite miraculous this turn, we might have just seen the tipping point in this game. Something I've obviously talked about a lot before. Being able to identify that tipping point, and when it's happening, when you're watching a video, is all great. A real skill of a great player is being able to identify when you think that's about to happen. There wasn't a huge amount Daisy could do about that, unfortunately. He did see that ice on the board. Hope maybe he had something else in his hand, maybe a few more military icons to prevent that stealth being as effective. However, he was probably very little he could do to win that military challenge with Rob and Arya on the board. Daisy shuffling his cards so quickly. I can't really see a huge amount there. He does have, it looks like maybe a Burnedman and maybe 1 or 2 other characters, but it doesn't look like he's got a lot of characters in his hand. He's got maybe a Hand's Judgment. If he had saved gold, he could have cancelled the Winter is Coming. However, I don't necessarily think you'd be able to predict that Winter is Coming was there. I'm not sure there's a huge amount he could have done looking at his hand. Maybe rather than putting the seal of the hand on in the board, he could have saved some gold, put the burned men into play. That would have given our 4-9 on Joe's side. He could have defended with Tywin and the burned men. Still would have only put him on 8. Wouldn't have helped him. So probably the right call, getting 2 uses out of Tywin there, despite him now being gone from the board. Daisy absolutely passing on his marshalling. I think he maybe marshalled the small council chamber, but has got no characters on the board. And has let Joe just go wild on his board, and then just put in the burned men just to kneel out the Hodor. Joe still wins dominance, but it does mean that Daisy has a character on the board going to the next round, so if he then marshals something bigger, he's got some chud there to protect it. So I think that's not a bad call from him. He's taken it in the face for a round, but because those burned men have got ambush, it's meant that they survived the round, and puts him in a position this next round to potentially get back in the game. However, the Stark player is on 6 power already, and it may be difficult to catch up. Ooh, kind of the worst thing that you're going to see when you play your trading against the summons, because what you've done is often when they summons, they don't have enough money to play out that character. If they don't have enough of the economy locations, giving them trading means that they've got that 7 gold. They can marshal whatever the hell they summons for. Joe's going to get his Caitlyn, and I'm guessing that if Daisy's playing trading, he's maybe got Miri in hand. That would be what I would expect, maybe Miri. And if that's the case, that Caitlyn is going to absolutely shut her down. Joe is going first, going to draw. Oh! Oh my god! It looks like Daisy's got the 3rd Tywin in his hand. That is obscene. And this is just yet another example of what a lucky little bastard Daisy can be sometimes. And I know you're listening, Daisy. Actually managed to pull the 3rd Tywin out of his deck. The probability of that is astronomical. I cannot believe it. But that gets him back in the game. He's now got 2 bits of chud. He's got Tywin. It means he can survive this round, stem the bleeding on the power a little bit, and he has got some gold in his hand in case he wants to play any events. So, as I said, I think that completely and utterly changes the board state. Yes, Joe is still ahead. Yes, Daisy's got a fight in front of him, but I think finding that Tywin has put him back in a good position. I think we can see maybe another Winter is coming in Joe's hand. So if Joe can find any other target to kill, he could put Daisy in a bad time again. If he can Winter is coming on a military and then maybe do a put to the sword or something. Despite being really strong in military, I've seen a lot of Stark decks recently not running put to the sword and just running ice. I think that's a mistake. Simply because you do have the military presence on the board to be able to push through put to the sword, especially if you get fast Eddie with that 6 for 6 amazing cost to strength ratio. You've got so many military icons, and you've got, as Joe's just marshalled, those attachments which boost their strength up as well. Ooh, getting a Kennel Master out of the board, something I haven't seen that much in some recent Stark decks. You see the odd 1 or 2, but they're not as proliferant as when they first come out because of Snow. But I think they're yet another example of a great way to abuse some of getting a big board state like Joe currently has, because it means he can throw Catelyn into a military challenge to prevent the opponent cancelling either your ice or your put to the sword if you're running it. Doing a military challenge with both stealthing the Tywin, and he's going to play Winter is Coming. And Daisy's saving the gold this time because we saw the Hand's Judgment in his hands to cancel it. That has put him in a good position. That's very well done on saving that gold, and having that Hand's Judgment was at just the right time. That attachment is Nymeria, obviously. So Daisy thought he had intimidated Tywin, but Tywin's strength is high enough that hadn't won by enough. Only won by 7, not the 8 that he would need for Tywin. So just intimidating the Chud. So Joe can pretty much run rampant now. Yes, Tywin's there to defend. He probably wants to win. He's probably can leave Catelyn for defense, for intrigue or power, if to force Daisy to maybe go military against him, because he probably doesn't care about the military challenge quite so much because he's got Chud to kill and a big enough board state. But he's going to do an intrigue challenge just to see if he can get Tywin to kneel out. And Daisy's going to play the defensive game, and is then getting power on Small Council Chamber and on Tywin. So quite happy to defend that because he actually gets 2 power out of it, and that's power that's not on his house card, so is safe from Joe doing a power challenge. But Joe's going to do a power challenge just to get the unopposed, despite there not being any on his house. So Joe's now on 8 power. Daisy now going into the 3rd round. If he's maybe got a first snow with some of the bigger characters in his hand, maybe not in a bad position, because first snow would leave Joe just with either a non-duped Arya, a Catelyn, and a Rob, clear a lot out of his hand, but instead he's going to go summons to Joe's Long Winter, so they're both going to have to discard a power. Joe choosing to discard the power of Rob. Probably a good call with his current board state. I think the power on his house card's relatively safe. I quite like the summons play by Daisy. Gonna let him get some cards in his hand, get a card in his hand that he really wants, play out Jaime, help him on the defense, that's good. However, he is facing a 2-claim plot, so unless he can marshal some Chud as well, Jaime might be in danger if he marshals him this turn. I think first snow of winter play right now would be quite good for him, but it all depends on what he's got in his hand. If he had a couple of 4-cost characters in his hand, or if he killed the Chud in this last round instead of the Burnman, he would have been able to kill. If he'd killed the Chud, bring the Burnman back to hand. He's got the Chud to lay down to prevent the first snow. However, first snowing on a 2-claim plot turn is dangerous. Joe continuing to get out those big impactful characters, getting out the Blackfish on a 2-claim turn. That is going to give him card draw and is going to give him the military strength to force through what he needs. Gotting out the claim soak that Daisy really needed. Putting out that Corona Vastothrak that we've seen in previous games, which is that little bit of banter in his deck, because he's got the Small Council Chamber, though winning those intrigue challenges can potentially kill some quite nice things. And going to play out Syrio. That's really nice. That is going to be able to give Tywin stealth, which means that Arya won't be able to bypass him on the military challenge. Yeah, so Tywin's now strength 7, which means between Tywin and Zero, he is going to be, if he wants to, be able to block out that military challenge. But he's also got 2 sets of Chud. I think it's probably quite likely, seeing those Targaryen loyalists out there, if he does completely defend the military challenge, I think he's maybe telegraphing that he might have Miri in hand. So yeah, Joe's going to really kind of kneel out a lot of his board to really force through that military challenge. So that's going to be a military challenge for 12. So just going to oppose it with Sirio, and he's going to have to kill off 2 things. Killing off both the Chuds, so probably not got Mirror in hand. I think if he does have Mirror in hand, it's almost the right call to kill off the Crone in that situation. While it's a more expensive character, those little reducers are going to be the economy that you need. I suppose with Tywin out, he's probably set for economy for the game, though. Arya, by the looks of it, doing the Intrigue challenge, getting that to claim off. Daisy really playing a defensive game there here, not managing to be offensive enough to pull back. Joe now on 11 power, 12 power. I'm not sure at this point if I can see Daisy pulling it back. Joe, if he can play another 2, if he can play. So the issue is Joe is on, yes, he's on 12 power, but he's relying now on unopposed to claim power unless Daisy can get some power. As Joe, I would have been tempted to leave that Intrigue challenge go unopposed so that Daisy had power on his house card so that I can steal it next turn to let me get to the finish line that little bit quicker. With the Renown on Rob and Blackfish, he can probably win next turn if Daisy had power on his house card. So, I mean, as you can see the length of this game, I don't think this is going to really drag out and have Daisy manage to come back. I think what he really needed in this situation, and he's going to laugh at me for saying this, is he needed a Varys, or he needed a Wildfire. He needed something to control Joe's board, force him to go smaller, stop him being able to overwhelm him with just a number of characters, and be able to force through all 3 challenges every single turn without having to worry about reprisal. Oh, Joe getting another ice on Arya and getting Chud out. So absolutely flooded the board here. I mean, if Daisy had been able to flip a Wildfire, he would have been in an excellent position. Joe would have had to save, I would say, Eddard, the Blackfish and Catelyn. That Arya wouldn't have been there, and he would have been far better off. I don't think enough people are playing Wildfire at the minute. I think it's maybe going to come through a bit of a resurgence again, just as a way to punish people for flooding the board. And Daisy gets up Miri. Unfortunately, I think it's too late. I don't think Joe's just going to be able to force through a military challenge, I think, here to get the double renown. Just military for an obscene number. Icing Tywin, which is the icing on the cake, and that's game. That's going to be absolutely game. So that's the game over, guys. Seeing the absolute power of that Stark deck, just forcing through the military, being really aggressive there, and just putting the Lannister player on the back foot from the very first turn there. Yeah, he was in a really difficult situation. I don't think there was a huge amount Daisy could have done there. But thanks, guys, for joining us. Next, we'll be seeing the finals. We did a cut of top 4, so we'll have 2 games there for us to see, for you to see. And I'll see you again next Tuesday. Please, guys, comment below. Keep it friendly. All right, bye.